Coffee time with the media mogul. Well, it's not much of the coffee, but oh yeah, let's have some of that. So, let's talk about some of the things you guys have asked me. Leaving home. Let's talk about it. What was your thoughts at the time? Big question. Now, I did a video about it, but my next door neighbour passed away, and I felt like it was time to move on. And I felt like you've got to do it there and then. You can't just wait, and you're just thinking, and at the time, living with my neighbour was a little bit like supported living. The teamwork we had, the bond we had, the relationship we had, it just worked. And it wasn't an overnight thing. When he died, I thought, well, if I moved home with my parents, could I have like a little dig set up or whatever? Or there's so many things that I was thinking. And then I thought, well, if I move home with my dad, I'm going back a step anyway. So it's best to just move out while it's there. And I thought about it, and I must say, I thought about it well, he died on the September the 4th, 2024. So I was living in his house for was it 2 months? I think it was. And then I moved out ever so suddenly at the end of November. And I wasn't ready to just come out so suddenly. But yeah. But yeah, that's all. I mean, it's all in the playlist. All the vlogs are there in both playlists, so you can, But yeah. So I used to sit in a chair before and after the funeral. I'd sit in a chair and I'd have an hour of thinking time. And I don't know if it's noted or not. I'd have to check my journal. But when I say thinking time, I would sit in a chair in the dark with a bit of ambient lighting, sometimes a bit of music on, and I would just think. And I thought to the point where I'm going to do it. I had a word, while I'd done a bit of meditation, the road to, Damascus. And I've been on that road for a long time. And I do, sometimes if I was a bit anxious, I would take myself to that road. And one day I was doing a bit of meditation and the word came. So I had to think about the word progression as well. I thought about the butterfly analogy and all that. And then I was thinking, well, where am I going to go? And I phoned a friend. Literally, phoned a friend. And we were talking about stuff, and she said, well, you're going to have to go through a social worker, which at the time I was like, oh, you know. And the following week, I'm going, right, I want to do it. So I spoke to a friend in the pub. I'm making this all sound casual, by the way. I spoke to a friend in the pub. He gave me a list of paper, a little list, bit of paper, took it home. And then I thought, well, shared lives seems to be the one. Because there were quite a few arguments I had and uncomfortable discussions. Because when you've got your wishes and hopes and dreams, it doesn't really, it's not the same as your parents' hopes and dreams. So I thought, right, I'm going to look up this shared life service. I'm going to research it. And that's what I did. I went and did a bit of heavy research. By that week, I'd done a month of heavy research. I'd made notes, scatty notes of different services and what they evolve. I'd been on YouTube. I'd been looking at different services. A lot of them were they were either down south or they were either in Liverpool, and a lot of them were catering to the elderly, or they were catering to more people that needed more than what I did. Apologise for the rain. I can't stop that, unfortunately. I can't just open the door and yell to the big man upstairs, "Oi, I'm doing a video, cut the rain." I'm in the conservatory, it's lovely and warm. There's a fly flying around somewhere. It's overstayed its welcome. As long as it doesn't land in me coffee, it'll just drown. I don't know what flies taste like, but yeah, vermin. So yeah, I went and researched. I was researching supported living places for about 2 months. I was listening to stuff on YouTube. I'd go on the websites. I'd speak to people. I was heavily noting it. And Mummy at the time wanted me in a place like Thomas, but that wouldn't do for me. I know it is. I've just said on the video gig, I said, I'm not going to go up to the weatherman out there, Oi, man upstairs, will you just cut that rain while I'm trying to do this video? You just cut that rain for a split moment. Yes, and obviously in one of the vlogs, you'll hear Mummy say, "Oh, do you think you shouldn't, a place like Thomas, where Thomas lives, that would be good for you?" No. It would be good for you, Mother, knowing that I would be in a place like that. So that's why I did my research. I gathered my evidence as quick as I could. I remember saying to Mummy, I've got a chapter here, a Word document, come and look at it. She wouldn't, so then I had to get YouTube videos then. I sent her them. I did send her a document. I was like, "Mother, have you looked at that document?" "No, I haven't." I was like, "Mother, there's a document there. It's a chapter long, but just look at it." And she did in the end. But I highlighted the places that I liked, and I said, "Look, the places near the top, read them, because they're the places that I wanted to go to," or something like that. But the problem was a lot of these places that you researched, they were either in Liverpool or down south or in Wales. I thought, frick me, I'm gonna have to travel all the way to Wales, and yeah. I mean, at the time I thought if my sister moved to Chester, that would have been ideal, because you can you can travel from Wales to Chester on the train. The problem is though with Wales, your bus pass would just go out the window. You know, things like that. You travel, I don't know what expenses you'd get. I don't know because I don't live in Wales. But oh, the man upstairs has heard me and says, "Do you know what? That man's doing a video. We're going to give him some more rain." Yes, thank you, God. Thank you for the rain, my friend. Where are we? So I looked into the whole shared lives thing, and there's some great testimonies. And I think, like shared lives, before I even go there, the research I've done. Yes, they've got a Facebook page. Yes, they've got YouTube. Oh, God, decide what you're doing, mate. It's either sunning or raining. I'll tell you what, you're just giving me more light for the video there. Bit more natural light. No, just kill the rain. Just kill the sound. I don't know. Right, the light shining in the wrong day. Oh. Anyway, where the hell was I? Yeah, that was it. I was talking about shared lives. Shared lives doesn't really get the decent promotion it needs, and I think I will soon be a customer of shared lives. I don't like the word client. It's not as bad as fucking service user. You know, service users like, oh yeah, you just use the service and scrub the door on the way out and make sure the door doesn't hit your ass when it closes. Yeah, that's service user for you, folks. But yeah, and so yeah, that's my moving out soon. So it's taken a long time. You've seen the process, you've heard the process, and yet I've answered a big long question. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, shared lives, I'm hoping they don't go too commercial, but I'm hoping that they get more promotion that they have been doing through people like ourselves as a YouTuber, as a creator. I think it's important to say that, you know, there's companies like this that just don't get the there's some nice stories, and yeah, they just get thrown to the back. Because, you know, if you put shared lives in on Facebook, you have to scroll down a bit. I mean, when I was a young person, going back a fair bit, I was in my 20s. I was still a young person in my early 20s. But we did, I was in a media group, and we tried getting the young people on the front. But we had a really good article, but it just got thrown out. Now, the whole, the money thing wasn't the issue. I think it was the article. The article came from us. They wanted a staff member to, which we did have youth workers helping us with it, but it came from us. It was our voices. And I didn't have enough knowledge, but that was my foot into the media circle back then. And I loved every minute of it. So what would I say now? I think Shared Lives needs going to the front page. They need front page articles, because it's like when we looked at articles on young people, a lot of them were negative. They were either negative or they were, I don't know, they were trying to make, if one person did something back in the day, the whole group, the whole load of people did it. It's like the one person texting in their bedroom. We read an article when we were doing our research. This woman, we used it at the Shouted Out Louder. There's someone, this girl, young girl, she'd hurt her thumbs and wrists from texting too much. And it's like, wow. If an article came out like that now, they'd just go, yep, they all do that now. But I don't know, back then it was just it was the one article of many. But yeah, it's either, young people, I'm not in a media group now, but if I did, I wouldn't be reading about young people, because they point the negative articles. But it's the same with learning disabilities. They always stick when it goes in the news, it's never the good. It's always the bad. So when I heard about a disability punk band called Ultimate Thunder, you should go listen to them. They are awesome. And they didn't have enough funding or something. And then Tim Burgess from the Charlatans was like, I want them at Kendall Calling, please. And yeah. And so that got me listening to them. And I'm trying to buy one of their records, but yeah. But I will. I'll buy an album. I don't like the fact that I'm just streaming them, because they are an artist that needs support. And I am looking for a physical album somewhere. But when I looked at that, I thought, wow, this is the cool stuff. But it's just very rarely do we hear this stuff. And the other question I get is, are you afraid of moving? Have you got the jitters? Have you got the... Well, hey, I wouldn't be a human being if I was a little bit nervous, but it is what it is. And sometimes you gotta give yourself a little kick up the arse, which is needed. The words "man up" come to mind. Oh yeah, I'm gonna say it, people. Sometimes a little political incorrectness goes a long way, trust me. Yeah. And yeah, man up. I laugh at that word sometimes, I really do. Because sometimes we need to do it, Because, yeah. Yeah. I don't even find that word offensive, to be honest. I don't even find the phrase offensive. So yeah. Because sometimes you need to just tell yourself, man up. A few people used to say it to me back in the day, you know. But it's funny because I met the person that I used to do blind football with, and I said, do you remember when this woman said to me, man up? should be a bit worried about saying it now, like, but I'm the sort of person that needs those sort of words, so yeah. And it's not offence, it's encouragement. So yeah. Maybe I need a big tattoo on the forehead. Man the hell up. Any road. That was a joke. But yeah, I think you're feeling the jitters, feeling a little of the nerves. It's normal. Oh, crumbs, another bad word I've used. I'm going to get cancelled already before I even finish. Oh well. Who cares? I'm used to bad word. Well, acid's not necessarily bad. Oh, I wish we had smell-o-vision. I'd love to transmit the smell of spag bol. Yeah. But yeah. So, you know, getting the jitters, getting the nerves. It's just nature. It's just, you're going to be nervous about something. Otherwise, you're just going to make yourself look a bit like a douchebag. So yeah. But at least I know they're my nerves and nobody else's nerves. I mean, I know these people are as nice as pie, and I'm really excited as well. You know, I'm really excited, but the nerves, I'm like, oh, go away, please, just go away. Don't need them. You know what I mean? But I just want it to go smoothly. The process going, like, you know. And there's other things, the hurdles. That's, you know, don't need them, but hey, gotta have them. And yes, I will do a podcast, but let me move in first. Let me have a few good months there before I even do a podcast. Because very different to the Poplers, which was a centre. I was only staying there. I wasn't actually living there. But I used the staff. This is another question I get. You know, oh, why did you use... And I even get it from AI. But the question I do get is, oh, why did you use the staff less and all this? Well, I didn't. I just didn't rely on them as heavily as other people. But I enjoyed it. It was like half holiday, but half stepping stone. And so, and I was pushing for things that I wanted. And my thoughts were, if I don't really want to see the staff that much, because that's, you know, it pulls you back a bit. For some people it won't, but for me it would. And also, when I was in the main lounge, I put this on the podcast, by the way, but I'm going to answer it here now, because that's how nice I am. There was a lot of stuff. There was a lot of stuff in the lounge. You know, there was times when I love people coming in, but when there was a TV going on and there was people coming through, and it was just it got a bit much for me, so I had to hide. Um, no, I love socialising, but it got a little bit formal for me, and the lounge really looked a little bit formal, so I didn't really spend much time in. I mean, they had couches and a TV, and sometimes I'd chill in there, but I wasn't always in there. And I think when I last stayed there, hardly anybody saw me. I was that guy, you know, go through for my tea. Um, if the night staff were on, uh, you know, if the night staff were on, I'd say hello to them, you know, and all this, and you know, if I needed stuff, that kind of thing. But once they were done doing what they needed to do, and once I was done doing what I needed to do, I basically did my own thing. I, you know, I'd either go in the lounge, I'd either go in the small lounge, or I'd either go in, or I'd either just stick to my bedroom. But you know, I did mingle with people there, and some people I got on with there. Um, so yeah, um, but I didn't. You know, it's just like a hello bye type of thing. I'd see them at tea time, and I'd see them sometimes during the day, but we never, you know, unless I was doing a DJ set, and then we'd all be together, and everybody loved it because I'd do a DJ set for people. But I didn't, you know, my being there, um, and I got close to one or two people, but I thought I'm just going to add them on social platforms outside, and they can talk to me that way, and that's what they do. Um, there's one girl, she added me on TikTok, and don't think she's. I've not seen her for a while on TikTok, so yeah. um, but yeah. I think she wanted me to put loads of DJ stuff on TikTok instead of the stuff that I do put on there, but it is what it is. But I've told people so many times that, you know, TikTok is where I promote stuff, not, you know, if you want to talk to me about something, like, there's one person who is part of the rave scene, and we talk on TikTok. Yeah. But apart from that, I never really, you know, it wasn't like I didn't really, you know, I didn't have any beef with anybody there or any problems with anybody there. But a lot of people saw me as an inspiration because I just did my own thing. And it's like, you know, but I would have a day with one of the residents, because my thought was I wouldn't want them thinking that I didn't do anything with the people there. You know, which I did, but I prefer to do my own thing. Because I would go like on the day when I went to the gym, and I went to the gym, and then I went back, and yeah, because I've been to the gym, and then I went back, and I had to go sometimes, like, I went to the group on Tuesday, and yeah, I just did my thing for most of the week, because, I'm glad they didn't stop me doing the things I wanted to do, which is important. But I've stuck all that in the podcast. The podcast is there for other people, so they know what it's like. It's like, do you know when you used to when you were going from junior school to senior school, and then there'd be there'd be the few pupils that would tell you what it's like. And so I'm that guy. I'm telling you what it's like. I'm telling you what it's like. And if you haven't got much independence, things are going to be difficult in that aspect, because you have to rely heavily on people, and it's annoying. So yeah. The only thing that I had to rely on someone for was getting me on and off the bus. But apart from that, I basically did my own thing. So yeah. I mean, some of the staff knew what my level was, because they'd see me walking around. They'd see me walking around town. So it was like, well, if walking around town and doing his thing, they just left me to it. But I did used to ask them, what time do you want me back? What time's handover, stuff like that. But this is all in the podcast. I basically listen to the podcast because this will answer all your questions. I know some of you will only listen to like 2-3 seconds of it, but please listen to the whole entire thing, because it's all there. Which is why I made the podcast, because I wanted to be that person that hands hold people through. Like, I'm thinking, like, once you're there, you listen to the podcast, and then you just listen to the pod. It'll make everything more clearer. But yeah. It just will. It'll make everything clearer. It'll make everything yeah. And it's just one of them. You know. And a lot of people ask, why now? Well, I've already answered that question, but to answer the question, the why now question, is people ain't going to be around forever. And you don't want to be stuck in a rut. And you don't want to be thrown in the bin. You know, I worry about that for a lot of people. And I say this to a lot of people I know. Get the ball rolling, that's what I did. Keep nagging them, that's what I did. Make your point clearer. Everything I've said, everything I've done and said, people have carried that across. I've seen people carry it across. So yeah, I can see my videos actually working. In fact, there's one or two of you that have gone in to Support a Living and said, thanks for making the video. Thanks for doing what you've been doing. I've done the I've gone through the crap, so you don't have to, kind of thing. And as a creator, I did it because a certain YouTuber, I'm not going to name, his son went into supported living and didn't talk properly through the process, didn't tell us any how you got it and stuff. Just said, oh yeah, my son's in supported living, you know. And yeah. And so that ground my gears. But I thought, well, do you know what? If they're not showing the process, leave it to someone who will. Not just shown the process, I've shown the frustration. Because, you know, a lot of people you ask, you get left in the dark. And so I've done that so you don't get left in the dark. And so you go watch my journey, and hopefully it'll help, you know, because it's to educate, it's not to frighten, it's not to shock. It's not what I wanted to do. You know, I have other projects where I do that sort of thing, but not this one. This was me showing real life scenario. And people have watched it and they like it. I've had one guy speaking to me, you know, oh, you're in supported living, how do you do it, how do you get into it, what's the process? I said, look, it's all on my channel. Everything you want to know is all on my channel. Every time he rings me, I say the same thing. Everything you want to know, it's all on the channel. I tell the process again and again and again. And I advocate it because I don't want people being left in the dark. It's the most horrible thing. And I should imagine for some people that would put them off. You know, it would throw people off. They'll go, nah, I'm not doing that. Just not. I ain't doing it. Which used to be me. But a comfort zone, this is what I will teach you guys, right? Want some advice? Well, listen up, because this is the only advice I'm giving, right? Listen up, because I don't give much advice, but here's the advice I'm going to give. So, parents, carers, note this down. and yourselves listening, note this down because this is important. A comfort zone can be a dangerous place. You don't want to stick to your comfort zone. I know for autistic people, yeah, a comfort zone, you're in your safe place, but your safe place can become a danger zone over time. What you've got to do is make sure that you move gradually. It doesn't have to be that minute, that second, that moment, but it does have to happen. You've got to make sure you move your safe space gradually. Because your safe space will become your danger zone. And yeah, that's something that yeah. And everybody's different, but it's the one advice that I'll give. Because even though I love my bedroom, even though I love my my comfort zone and everything, I can see what's getting tampered with and what's getting destroyed and what I don't like. And so I've seen, a new place that I've made my space, my comfort zone already. And I've made that very quickly. And it's, I've made that very quickly. It's warm, it's cozy, and it's safe, and it's my world as well. And everybody says I'm an inspiration, but the reason I'm an inspiration is because I speak it from my point of view. And another thing is you've got to use things that help you. For me, it's Timothy Leary and Terence McKenna's teachings and the Bible. I should have put that first. I don't know why I did. But yeah, those are three things. And I use things like the butterfly analogy, which is, it's a bit like the crimson worm. The crimson worm sticks itself to a tree, but then it has its babies and it moves on. The crimson worm leaves its mark. The crimson worm's died. It can't move from that tree. But its babies have moved on. And they've got the mother within them. They've got that whole thing. The egg has been hatched, so it moves on. It's like the butterfly flees the cocoon. It's not this creepy called a caterpillar anymore, it's a butterfly. But the butterfly moves on. The actual analogy, or the spiritual version of that, is it flaps its wings and creates chaos in the jungle. Well, but I read something about the butterfly and thought, yeah, it's a great analogy, use it. So I don't know what will help you, but I always say the butterfly analogy helps me, and so yeah. And I can't. Terence McKenna said something, but I can't remember what it was. But it was the same thing. Here's something for you Christians out there. When Jesus died and he rose again, he told his disciples to move on, but he'd still be with them. That's the same as the crimson worm, is it not? He's still with them. He's still with us. He's still moving within us. I know it's a bit deep, but sometimes you've got to use something like this to realize that, you know, you've got to, like the hippies and the gypsies, they pick up their home and move on. You know, like the butterfly. The butterfly rebuilds, but it rebuilds as it's moving on. It's still, the thing with the butterfly is it's still processing. It's like nature, but I'm not going to go through that because that's a big thing. You know, nature's a very vast subject. You know, I can't cover that in 10 minutes. But yeah, but I can cover everything else. And I use whatever it is that I'm going to lean on to move on. You know. Hey, but if I could see enough to drive, I'd buy a van and probably live in it. Right, that's the end of my spiel. I really hope you enjoyed and hope you got from it. Yeah.